in week one. I mean, they did stop like the passing game a lot, except for a few possessions where it looked a little sloppy. But overall, they just got to keep that going, and they got to get through that pass block. And I want to see more sacks this week. Like, did you
Yeah.
say that? Didn't you say Muskego? What was their strength on offense, rushing or passing? What was it?
Oh, it's definitely running, which is the crazy part because you're gonna laugh when I say this, but the rushing totals when you go in Oak Creek's category, obviously you know who Oak Creek's running backs are. Take a guess on who had the most rushing yards.
For Oak Creek?
Yes.
I'm actually you might be shocked by this, but I'm gonna say it's Cade.
Yeah, you were right, bro. It's Cade. I'm not kidding. From what the
He's like
stats show last week, it's Cade. It's Cade Falkowski. He had the most rushing yards last week. I think over 100 yards, which is just insane.
dude's like the white Lamar Jackson. I'm just being
Yes,
honest.
yes. Overall, yes, he is, and that's what just came to shock to me. Michael Castillo had a lot of rushing yards. He ran that big one for that touchdown there towards the end of that game. That was a big run. I will be honest, a huge,
That
very big run.
that's big for coming off of a break year football. I mean, he didn't play his junior year, and he just comes right back with a bang.
Yeah, and then you got many different teams that just come out to show a different chance too.
Have you always wanted to be a sports broadcaster but didn't know how to get started? Well, Game Mic allows you to go out and practice, just like we need to practice as athletes. You can't get better without work, so gain that experience on Game Mic.
Are you nervous about getting on the game mic? That's okay. It's as easy as talking on the phone. Anyone can do it. Or are you that person who always thought you would be a good sports broadcaster? Like every time you say something, the announcer.
Sorry, guys, I hit the wrong button. Very sorry. Anyways, Elijah, what were you saying?
I honestly lost my train of thought there. It's
Ah, I'm sorry. I dropped
all
my
good.
phone. I hit game break on accident. Oh my goodness. Anyways, getting back to that, Fond du Lac. Let's talk about Fond du Lac now, who just beat a really good Kettle Moraine team last week. Um, I would like to say about Fond du Lac is if they win tomorrow, this proves they're legit. They beat Kettle Moraine last week. Then they go on to beat Franklin. That's just going to be a big booster in the rankings for them too. I don't know how they cannot be placed in the top 10 too. Like obviously, I think Oak Creek deserves to be above Franklin. That's just my chain. That's my opinion. I think, but will they? I mean, if Oak Creek wins and goes 2-0, Franklin loses and goes 0-2. If Franklin is still ahead of Oak Creek in the rankings, there is something up because that would not be
I'm
right.
sure it would change.
Yeah, I'm sure it would too because that would be pretty bad. Let's talk about McGuanago though and Kimberly. McGuanago and Kimberly both highly ranked in Division One in Wisconsin. I think personally, what was I gonna say? McGuanago could be a good factor for state this year in two different ways because it sounds like their defense is just elite. That's the way it sounds. And then you always got Kimberly up there too. Kimberly, I think they're the paper makers. What a great name. Anyways, they're up there too at number two. Bayport's number three. You go down this to Muskego, who's number four, who's playing Oak Creek this week. They could drop. This goes back to my point too. There's only one 0-1 team in the Division One right now, and that's Franklin. They're 0-1 and they're ranked five. You got Fond du
That's
Lac,
just
who's
showing
six,
the
who went
favorite.
1-0. Yeah, at times I think so. Seven, you got Arrowhead. Eight, you got our Oak Creek Knights. Nine, you got Nina, and at 10, you got Appleton North. Um, Going over to Division Four, Catholic Memorial, who beat Franklin last week, is number one ranked. I want to talk about that for a second, actually. I think the reason why they are number one ranked is because they beat obviously the Division One champions last year. And that's the main thing too. If you go back to my point, what I said earlier. So Franklin lost to a team who also won Division Four champions. So they're thinking, oh wow, they played a really good team. They lost. Let's just keep them in the top five, which I kind of get. But if you go down and lose to Fond du Lac this week, who I believe I said it was 10th ranked, you do not deserve to be in the top 10 no more. Top 25, yes. but it'd still even look weird to see an 0-2. There'd probably be only one 0-2 team in the top 25, and you got all the rest of them at 2-0 or 1-1. That wouldn't look right. That wouldn't sit right with a lot of schools in Division One. Going back to, let's see who we got playing tonight. First of all, Waupun at Menominee Indian. Milwaukee Vincent's playing Milwaukee South. Most of Milwaukee schools play at Milwaukee Pulaski. Green Bay Prebles playing a really good Appleton North team. Bayport's playing tonight against Notre Dame. Not Notre Dame College, obviously. A lot of people just probably got stung there. Kettle Moraine is playing tonight against Ashwaubenon. Kettle Moraine cannot lose tonight, I'll tell you that. Otherwise, they will fight off a very unfortunate part.
They're
Waukesha
gonna
West
fall in
is
the
playing.
water.
Yeah, Waukesha West is playing Madison Memorial tonight. Stoughton is playing Wisconsin Rapids. Stevens Point, Hudson, Oshkosh North, Green Bay Southwest. I think Green Bay Southwest takes that game. Senior, the home team, Oshkosh North, been struggling the last few years. But let's take a. Obviously, last week we did this on Friday, so let's take a look at Friday's games now. We got to preview both since we will not. Oh wait, I went last week. Appleton West against Appleton East. That's expected to be a good game too. Very big rivalry up in the Fox Valley. Beloit Memorial Madison East. That's always competitive too. Blackhawk Warren from Illinois against Marshall. I think the Illinois team comes in and takes that one. Catholic Memorial's playing Marquette. I think Catholic Memorial takes that one. Just being totally honest. DeForest against Kimberly. Kimberly takes that one by a wide margin. Franklin at Fond du Lac. I'm taking Fond du Lac by at least 10. I know that will be an upset, but I'm dead serious on that upset. Let's see if any more noticeable games. McGuanago at Sun Prairie East. I'm taking McGuanago by easy margin in that game. Muskego at Oak Creek. Taking. Well, I got to get back to that one because I don't know who I'm actually taking in that game. It's so dead hate. New Berlin West against Greenfield. I'd probably have to take New Berlin West there. Greenfield seems to come out every once in a while and just be struggling to good. Pulaski against Hortonville. Gotta take Pulaski, I would say. This is the Pulaski up in the Green Bay area, not Milwaukee Pulaski, by the way. Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin Lutheran. I think Whitefish Bay pulls that one out. Racine Case against Brookfield East. Brookfield East will win easily. New Berlin Eisenhower against South Milwaukee. I'm actually going to take South Milwaukee in that game. A lot of you will be shocked. Cudahy Racine Park. Oh my goodness. Cudahy lost 60-0 last week to I think West Dallas Central. I'm not sure. It was one of the not so good teams either. I'm going to take Racine Park on that game. Racine Park starting out 2-0.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah. Joliet Catholic is playing from Illinois is playing against Waterford. I'm taking Waterford in that game. Milwaukee Marshall is playing against Greendale. I'm taking Greendale there. Wauwatosa East at Kenosha St. Joseph. I think Wauwatosa pulls that one out, the away team. Iowa Grant against New Lisbon. Probably take New Lisbon there. Whitnall, my last one here. Whitnall at Sussex Hamilton. I think Whitnall takes that one out. Actually, seeing how bad Whitnall struggled last week, I think I'm going to go with Sussex Hamilton. Now that I think about that, Sussex Hamilton actually not being that bad of a team. And my last one, Brookfield Central at Pewaukee. Pewaukee takes that one. Got a good stream of games this week, as you can see.
Yeah,
Overall, a
very good
very,
matchups.
very good matchup. Some of them are underrated, though. Like Muskego at Oak Creek wasn't even included in, I would say, Travis Wilson's top 5 of the week from Wish Sports, which is kind of very appealing to me to see. But look at
I
Franklin
don't,
and Fond du Lac wasn't involved either.
I don't want to be
Go ahead.
biased, but
Yeah.
I just really do think, like, even though we're calling the game tomorrow night, Oak Creek versus Muskego should have been the number one game.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people, in their standard views that run newspapers and everything across the state websites just don't have enough to see if Oak Creek's really legit. I mean, it's crazy to say that, but I think it's true. People are like, oh, I don't know if Oak Creek's that legit. And that's a problem if you think about it. Oak Creek, I mean, if they win this week, they got to be legit because they just beat number 3 in the state. Now, if they get whooped tomorrow night, that might send a message like, oh, this team's not that good or not as good as everyone thought they were.
And if we do get blown out tomorrow night, that's still not it for us. We still got a whole season ahead of us. We still got to play our heck. We got to play our rivals still. Franklin,
Yeah.
Horlick.
Yeah, Horlick. Horlick, let's talk about Horlick too. That's 2 weeks from tomorrow, by the way. And Racine Horlick. That's going to be more of a dogfight than people think. Obviously, last year people got bit by shock. The Oak Creek student section, I'll tell you, they weren't expecting that last year when they were down at halftime to Horlick, and it was just they came out in the second half just strong. I mean,
Just don't
Horlick's
make it.
quarterback doesn't.
Can't
Yeah,
make it seem like every team in our conference is just going to be a landslide. Like not just Franklin like is the only team that's going to be close. It's not. Might not even be just Horlick that's going to put up a fight with us. You never
exactly, and
know.
that's a perfect thing too. You look at this reaction to Horlick. Racine Case, I think, went 0-9 last year, being worse than Racine Park. Usually Racine Park is the worst out of the 3, but I think last year Case was. You head down to Kenosha. None of the Kenosha schools look like dominating to me this year, but I could be wrong, especially as we get later in the season. They're still undefeated. They only have 1 loss. Maybe they'd be a team to watch. But I remember a few years ago, this would be the year before COVID. So this would be 2019 season for football. Oak Creek ended 5-4. And if they wouldn't have blocked a field goal from Case, which was actually a really weird game to be honest, because you look at it this way. So they were playing the game. It got thunderstormed out, so they had to finish the game on Monday. Oak Creek blocked a field goal and won the game. If Oak Creek doesn't block that field goal, they don't make the playoffs. It came down to a block field goal to get them in the playoffs that year. That was one of those struggling years, though, as you can tell. I think that's the year they went to McGuanago in the playoff game. I think first week, and I
And
think
just got wiped.
they got wiped. Like I think it was 50 or 55-0. But Oak Creek's
We didn't even bother to go to that
no,
game
I just said
because we knew it was going to be bad.
yeah. I think Oak Creek hardly had a student section that game. It was just not looking good for them that game, unfortunately. And that's one of those things that you never know. It could be a good game. You could come out really big, or else you could just come out and just choke. That game just showed that somebody just choked. I mean, like obviously they weren't favored to win. Obviously, their team probably wasn't as skilled as McGuanago, but it was still worth a dogfight there. But look at Franklin, for example. I'm going to go back to the story. I went to watch Franklin versus Arrowhead at Kettle Moraine, the game to go to state. It was at Kettle Moraine. It wasn't Kettle Moraine playing, though, because obviously they do neutral fields in the playoffs. But it's Franklin against Arrowhead. Franklin had the ball on 2 or 3 with 3 seconds left. I forget the running back's name, but he was really good. I think he went to like some D1 college in the Big Ten, but they had him set back in the backfield. This comes funny to this day, but the snapper snaps it over the quarterback's head, and this guy gets snapped at the 8-yard line, and the game's over. I still think if that kid gets the snap, he's running in all day. And Franco went to state, and what was this, probably 2015, 2016? Would have had another state appearance. Not saying they would have won, but it could have been very interesting because they could have gotten pretty far that year.
Well, like
And
look at last year too for Franklin.
yeah,
They played what was the
yeah,
school that was close twice? It was Appleton. I forget what Appleton school was. Appleton North, I think, right?
Appleton North. Yes, Appleton North.
They Appleton North. They were up like what was it like 3, 4 touchdowns at halftime? Both of those games,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
choked.
Me and Elijah were sitting over at the Point After in Franklin. By the way, shout out to the
Yeah,
Point After over in
yeah.
Franklin off of 76th Street. Very good food, by the way. Anyways, we were sitting in the bar there. They had the game on. Not many places, as you know, in the Milwaukee area, broadcast high school football. But it was one of those big games because it's Franklin Sabres are well known around the city. So, anyways, we're sitting in that bar, and we're both like, Oak Creek students at the time, just sitting there having a good night. The Bucks were playing, Milwaukee Bucks are playing too, so we're sitting there watching the game. But you got people cheering like it's the Packer game in there. It's very cool to see, to be honest, because it's like at least a lot of people are connected with their high school team. I'm not dissing that, even though Franklin's rivals. I'm not dissing that. At least you had people come out around the community, watch the game at the bar, so you could sit there and have an alcoholic beverage while you watch
I,
your high
I'll
school team.
admit, they really
Yeah,
do have that, like, they have, like, a place, like, better than Oak Creek than to, like, actually cheer for them, I guess. Like, I don't wanna,
yeah,
like, be,
well,
like, biased to Franklin now too, like, I'm
no,
a diehard Oak Creek fan, but yeah, they're diehard fans over there.
yeah, well, that's the thing though too. Oak Creek, I don't know, really has a place like that. I mean,
No.
let's think of a place in Oak Creek that could do that. A lot of places that are in Oak Creek are mainly like corporate places, like Pizza Man, Ma
Yeah.
Pizza,
Well, like, fast
Stellar
food
Cantina.
places.
Yeah, they're all their fast food places. I mean, there's not really no small business bars that I can think of, or like the Stellar
B-dubs.
maybe. That's yeah. Well, B Dubs wouldn't do that. They're corporate. They can't.
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
think legally they can't legally do that. I don't think they have their company policies there. But I honestly wish that places like corporate would broadcast more of their local high school games on TV. Like they obviously got to get the technology and equipment to do so at these high school games. Broadcasters like us, Oak Creek Knights, obviously tomorrow night they have their game on YouTube. You can go ahead and watch the game on YouTube, but I recommend that game on YouTube doesn't have any broadcasters. So come on to Game Mike, listen to us while you watch the game on YouTube. I promise we'll probably be this. The only problem is we might be a little faster than that because usually, live streams are usually behind. But I like to throw this app out there. If I wouldn't have found this app, I never would be broadcasting right now. Just being straight honest. I happened to be scrolling through TikTok one day, found this app, and I'm like, oh, this is a perfect app to broadcast on. Then we tried a baseball game last year. Obviously, it was our first time announcing, and we got done in the third inning because it was just taking forever. But
It just happened
other
to be
than that,
a slower paced game too, or fast.
yeah. But it's very interesting. I mean, it's like this app is very fun. I think doing a football game tomorrow night, I gotta find the wireless mic first. Obviously, still in the process, and we got about 37 hours to do so before we start interviewing students in the parking lot tomorrow night.
Nah,
You
we
can
got like
feature on our phone.
24 hours left.
Yeah, basically. At least I don't work tomorrow. That's a good thing. Anyways, let's head to a break, and after the break, we're going to talk about our upsets. Who we think is going to upset tomorrow night. We get one game. Who we think is going to do so? I was right last week. I picked Catholic Memorial over Franklin.
And I
Elijah
was
had
wrong.
Verona. Yeah. So obviously, it's your chance to do better this week.
Yep.
After the break, we will go over that.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for listening into Game Mike. Action should resume as soon as your broadcaster is ready to go. This is Game Mike.
Have you always wanted to be a sports broadcaster but didn't know how to get started? Well, Game Mike allows you to go out and practice, just like we need to practice as athletes. You can't get better without work, so gain that experience on Game Mike.
Are you nervous about getting on the game mic? That's okay. It's as easy as talking on the phone. Anyone can do it. Or are you that person who always thought you would be a good sports broadcaster? Like every time you say something, the announcer says it right after you? Well, now's your time to shine. What about those aspiring journalists out there? get out ahead, and build up that resume. Game Mike, no experience.
Welcome back, everyone, to the show. This time, that was our real game break, I promise. First time, obviously a mistake. You hit the 30-second button by the wrong time. Anyways, let's go for our final segment, predictions and upsets. So basically, it's just the upsets. So I gotta look at the list of games real quick to pick who I think is gonna upset.
Here, is it okay if I go first today?
Yes, you can go. You can go.
All right. So my hot take, I know I
Yeah.
was horribly wrong with Verona versus Muskego last week,
Yeah.
but
Oh
here we
boy.
go again.
Oh
It's
no.
it's gonna be Oak Creek versus Muskego. I got the Oak Creek Knights.
He's coming in with the big win.
Yep.
Our game tomorrow night. He's coming in with the big win.
It's gonna be a good one. I really do.
You
It's not
stole
gonna be a
you
blowout.
you
Wait, what?
stole my game. You stole my game, by the way. So I'm actually gonna go picking Lake Geneva Badger over Racine Horlick tomorrow night. I think that's the one. I think with Lake Geneva Badger at the hot take beating Greendale last week, they're gonna come over and beat Racine Horlick, which would put a dent in their conference championship run too. When it's not officially over, but that could really ruin it.
And I'll be honest with you, if Oak Creek does
Yeah,
win tomorrow night,
yeah.
oh boy, the
There's
whole
gonna be.
city of Oak Creek, man,
I
it's gonna be
enjoy
a party.
the two or three of you that are on right now. I encourage you. Well, I know one of them's I think in charge of game, Mike. By the way, thank you for letting us be on this platform and putting us on YouTube too. I really appreciate that. Come join the OT, which is our post game tomorrow night. If we beat Muskego, we're
Even
going
if
to
we
be
lose
interviewing.
too.
Yeah, so yeah, even if we lose, just come on. We'll talk. We'll have a good time. Our first half will hopefully be interviews, and we can finally catch up to one of the players. Otherwise, the second half we'll be sitting in the nice old car talking about who won, who lost, and everything. But
Talk about the recap of the game.
we talk about the recap of every game. Anyways,
Yep.
here's something that everyone should be present for. Tomorrow night, 6:50 p.m. Central. I know a lot of people that are on this app are, I think, in California, so it'd be 4:50 p.m. Pacific time for you guys. Muskego at Oak Creek. Kickoff at 7. It's going to be a really good game. Encourage you all to listen. We'll try to do a mini halftime report as well. Got to figure out who our halftime is sponsored by. I made our post-game show especially sponsored by Game Mike. But until then, hope you guys have a good day. Get into some high school football, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 6:50 p.m.